Hello, my name is Carol Barnett. I apologize for the sniffling and the scratchy voice. I have a cold. I chose Barbara Mikulski, social worker and senator, for my historical presentation, and let's learn all about her. She was born in Baltimore, Maryland on July 20th, 1936. She's currently 82 years old. She was raised in the Highlandtown area of East Baltimore. She's the oldest of three daughters, born to William and Christine Mikulski. Her parents were both of Polish descent. Her immigrant grandparents owned a bakery in Baltimore. She attended high school at the Institute of Notre Dame, where she joined the Christopher movement, which promoted service to the poor and comfort to the suffering. She worked at her parents' grocery store after school, where she delivered groceries to her elderly neighbors who were housebound. She never married or had children. While deciding on a career path, Barbara was inspired by Mother Teresa, and she thought about going to college for sciences, but she felt social work was a better fit, which I'm so glad that she did. She graduated in 1958 with a Bachelor's of Art in Sociology from Mount St. Agnes College, which is now part of Loyola College. She obtained her master's degree in social work from the University of Maryland School of Social Work in 1965. She worked as a social worker with the Catholic Charity and Baltimore's Department of Social Services, helping at-risk children and educating seniors about the Medicaid programs. She also worked with drug addiction. Barbara became an activist when she heard about plans to build Interstate 95 through Baltimore's Fells Point and Canton neighborhoods from a fellow social worker. Her friend told her that everyone was afraid to fight the bosses, but she asked Barbara to come and help because she was well known in the community. It would take Barbara 2 years to fight for this cause. She established the Southeast Council Against the Road. She helped to organize members of both communities and successfully fought to stop the construction of the road. An interesting fact about Fells Point neighborhood was that it was the hometown of Frederick Douglass, who worked as a shipbuilder there before becoming a national leader in abolition. In 1970, she gained national attention for remarks she gave at a conference at the Catholic University of America regarding ethnic Americans. Her message became one of the major documents for the ethnic movement. Her remarks were about America not being a melting point. It was a sizzling cauldron for the ethnic American who feels that he has been politically courted and legally extorted by both the government and private enterprises. She ended with the message that what is needed is an alliance of white and black, white collar, blue collar, and no collar based on mutual need, interdependence, and respect. An alliance to develop the strategy for new kinds of community organizations and political participation. Barbara became involved in the civil rights movement where she campaigned against segregation and working to ease tensions between black and white communities. She was elected to the Baltimore City Council in 1971, where she served until 1976. During her time on the City Council, she established commissions on the care of the elderly as well as rape victims. In 1973, the incoming chairman of the Democratic National Party, Robert S. Strauss, appointed Barbara to chair the Democratic Party Commission on New Delegate Selection and Party Structure. She was elected to the House of Representatives in 1976, and then in 1986 she became the first woman elected to the United States Senate from Maryland. Barbara was the first senator not elected as a replacement for her father or for her spouse. Barbara was quoted as saying, "I didn't want to become one of the boys in the Senate, but I did want to be part of that gang." She was seen in an almost cartoonish way. She was only 4'11", so short that when she spoke on the Senate floor, she had to stand on a box. She described herself as a little stealth rocket, a heat-seeking missile under everyone's radar. She earned the title of Lioness by her fellow senators. She was voted the meanest senator in a survey of congressional staffers. In 1993, women were not allowed to wear pants on the Senate floor. So Barbara and Senator Carol Moseley Brown wore pants in defiance of this rule. The rule was changed later that year, as long as the women wore jackets with their pants. While a senator, she was the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, the first woman and the first Marylander to hold this position. She also served as the secretary of the Senate Democratic Caucus. She served on the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee as well. In March 2010, Barbara introduced the Digital Empowerment Bill, her legislation to close the digital divide. In her closing remarks, she said, "I give all praise and thanks to the dear Lord, who has inspired me to do this and gives me the opportunity to serve in the Senate. I truly believe that one person can make a difference. I am trying to do that with this legislation. If we can work together, I know that we will be able to bring about change for our children, and change for the better." While a senator, she introduced 18 bills, such as the Child Care Development Block Grant of 2013, which passed in the Senate. This bill provided block grants to the states to help low-income parents find child care for their children. She argued that this bill ensured that all children get the care they need and the care that they deserve. In 2010, Barbara sponsored Rose's Law, which mandated the replacement of mental retardation with intellectual disability in federal legislation. She worked tirelessly to be the champion of legislation to help women, children, families, the elderly, federal workers, and veterans. While working with these issues, she states that she gets emotional, she gets angry, she gets outraged, and she becomes volcanic. Wow. No member of Congress was more a tireless advocate for women. She pushed to enact legislation to include breast and cervical cancer screenings for the uninsured, and to, to extend the allowable period for suing employers over gender bias. Senator John Kerry fondly remembered Barbara for her titanic rage, when she learned that women had been excluded from a medical study because of their hormonal differences from men. Senator Kerry remembered her comment saying her hormones rage caught because of things like this. In 2012, the Washington Post wrote that Barbara was known as Senator Barb to some colleagues and a holy terror to others. Barbara was one of 11 senators to vote against both the 1991 and 2002 resolutions authorizing the use of force in Iraq. She has been opposed to Fairbanks Capital, who were alleged to have illegally foreclosed on over 100 homes in her home state of Maryland. Barbara served as the co-chair of Hillary Rodham Clinton's presidential campaign in 2007-2008. In 2008, she campaigned vigorously for the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, which extended the time frame in which plaintiffs were able to file a complaint. That bill passed in 2009. She also championed the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act in 2010, in which she introduced an amendment that guaranteed annual health screenings for all women that would include preventative diagnostics for major health problems specific to females. She also co-sponsored the Act of 2010 that repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the U.S. policy that prevented openly homosexual citizens from serving in the military. While in office, she wrote 2 novels entitled Capital Offense in 1996 and Capital Venture in 1997. In 2011, she surpassed Margaret Chase Smith's record to become the longest-serving female senator. She received many honors during her career. Most importantly, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama in November of 2015. Before she retired, Representative Chris Van Hollen of Maryland said, "If Barbara Mikulski is with you, the force is with you." She retired in January 2017 after achieving the goal she set for herself in 1987, the goal to use the good mind, the good mouth, and the good heart that God gave me. With retirement, Barbara is still busy. In January 2017, later that month, she joined Johns Hopkins University and became a professor of public policy and an advisor to the president of that university. I found this book at my local library entitled 9 and Counting, The Women of the Senate, which was published in too. I learned so much about Barbara from this book and articles online. And here she is, the short one there, sitting. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much.